You can teach skill. You cannot teach the stomach for risk. Entrepreneurship is not a skill, it's a personality. You can learn finance, you can learn every framework in every business book, you can hire the best consultants and buy the best software. What you can't learn is comfort with uncertainty, that feeling in your chest when there is no path, no map, and no safety net. That is the core of the founder. Every employee gets a number cashed out at the end of the month. Every founder gets a question mark. Most people need the number. That's not weakness. That's how most brains are built for safety. A founder's brain runs on something else. Risk doesn't feel like danger to them. It feels like oxygen. It's the necessary condition for existence. Without it, they feel stagnant. Steve Jobs didn't start with a guaranteed market. Sarah Blakely cut the feet off her own pantyhose with no funding and no certainty. Neither of them had proof. They had tolerance for the void. They had tolerance for not knowing. They understood that the only way to find out was to jump and build the wings on the way down. Is that your personality? So before you ask what business to start, ask if you can function without a guarantee, because that question decides everything that follows. Now assume you can. Here's what happens next. Most founders test their idea on the wrong people. They show it to friends, to family, to people who already like them, and everyone says this is great because they don't want to hurt you. So why do most ideas still fail in the first year? Because friends don't pay. Strangers do. Validation isn't a compliment. It's a stranger reaching for their wallet before you've even finished the pitch. Airbnb's founders couldn't get investors to take them seriously, so they sold cereal boxes, Obama O's, and Cap'n McCain's to strangers just to prove people would pay for an idea they believed in. That wasn't a business yet. It was proof the instinct was right. It was a signal in the noise. If you can't find that signal with strangers, you are just talking to yourself in a mirror. Validation is the hardest stage because it requires you to be wrong 100 times before you are right once. It is a brutal filtering process for your ego. Then the moment comes. A stranger says yes. Your first customer was never about the money, $10, $100. The amount is irrelevant. What matters is the trust. A stranger trusted you before you had proof, before you had reviews, before you had a track record. They saw something in you or your product that was more valuable than their cash. That trust is the rarest resource. Why did they say yes? What did they see before everyone else did? Most founders move straight to the next sale without ever answering that. But that answer is the foundation of your entire business model. That first customer is your North Star. They are the person who saw the future before it was obvious. If you can understand why they trusted you, you can find 10,000 more just like them. But trust is a fragile thing. Once you have it, the clock starts. Now the real test begins. Not the idea, not the first sale, but the brutal, grinding reality of survival, the runway. The number on the business plan is a fantasy. Most founders calculate startup costs, equipment, inventory, marketing, and they feel ready, but they forget the hidden costs of delay and friction. Then month 4 happens, then month 6. The real cost of starting a business isn't what you spend on the launch, it's how long you can survive the gap between the launch and the traction. Most businesses don't fail because the idea was bad. They fail because they ran out of runway 6 weeks before the market was ready to buy. They died in the death valley of entrepreneurship. Airbnb almost died before it became Airbnb. The founders maxed out credit cards. The idea was never the problem. The runway almost wasn't enough to reach the other side. The real question isn't how much you need to start. It's how long you can survive at zero revenue while still keeping the lights on. It's about mental and financial endurance. Do you have it? Runway is just a measure of time. And time is the final, most deceptive test. Because you can have the personality, the validation, the trust, and the runway, and still fail because of timing. This is where most businesses actually die. Not from a bad idea, but from a good idea that arrived too early or was given too little time. Timing is the one variable you cannot control. Founders plan for success. They rarely plan for the gap. The months where nothing happens, where the idea is right, but the world hasn't caught up yet. That gap kills more businesses than competition ever will. The companies that survive aren't always the ones with the best idea. They're the ones that built enough runway to survive being early. They were willing to water the plant even when it looked dead. Airbnb wasn't an instant hit. For over a year, almost nobody used it. The model didn't change. The founders simply survived long enough for the market to realize they were right. Timing caught up to them. Strategic patience is the hardest skill. It's knowing when to pivot and when to just hold on. If you can't survive the wait, you can't survive the success. Timing is everything. So the real question was never if this is a good idea. It's whether you can survive long enough to find out. Entrepreneurship is an endurance sport, not a sprint. 5 tests: personality, validation, trust, runway, time. One of them will try to kill your business, probably all of them. Most founders only prepare for the idea, but the idea is just the ticket to enter the race. The other 4 decide who actually crosses the finish line. Which one have you not prepared for yet? You already knew, didn't you? See you on the next one.